Hello and welcome. This is Chai Hofilenia, and this is your 6 p.m. wrap. Donald Trump will be the 45th President of the United States. The former reality show star defied most polls that predicted a narrow Clinton victory and won almost all the crucial swing states, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. In his acceptance speech, he vows to be a president for all Americans.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division, have to get together. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people. It's time. I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton concedes the race in a phone call to Trump. Conciliatory towards his rival, Trump praises Clinton for the, quote, hard-fought campaign.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard. Hillary has worked very long and very hard over a long period of time, and we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country.
Appealing to a mostly white, male, working-class constituency, many of whom were out of work, Trump barreled through the campaign with a plain, vague, politically incorrect speaking style.
As I've said from the beginning, ours was not a campaign, but rather an incredible and great movement made up of millions of hardworking men and women who love their country and want a better, brighter future for themselves and for their family.
Share markets collapsed and the dollar tumbled against the yen and euro. As Donald Trump looked set to win the race for the White House, many investors considered Trump a loose cannon and feared his policies may wreck the world's #1 economy. Analysts called it a bloodbath as Tokyo collapsed 5.4% by the end of trade, while the Hong fell 3% in the afternoon and Shanghai sank 0.5%. Sydney gave up almost 2%, Seoul shed 2.7%, and Singapore dived 1.8%. Wellington plunged 3.3%, while Taipei was 2% off. Manila skidded 3.3% and Jakarta 2%. The Sensex and the Bombay Stock Exchange was 3.4% off, having initially plummeted more than 6%. Futures on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq on Wall Street were more than 5% down, while those on the Dow were off 4%. Futures on London's FTSE 100 were also down more than 4%. In New York, shock and despair registered on the faces of supporters in the ballroom that was supposed to hold Clinton's victory party. Many cry as they watch maps on screens turn Republican red. In contrast, Trump supporters were euphoric as they partied into the night in anticipation of the billionaire's win. Trump's success reflected a deeply divided electorate, but also showcased his ability to tap into white blue-collar voters' resentment of immigrants and the loss of jobs. On the legislative side, the Republicans were also on course to retain their majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. President Rodrigo Duterte says he gave the go signal to bury former President Ferdinand Marcos at the libingan ng mga bayani, hours after the Supreme Court allowed the hero's burial for the late dictator.
Well, I thought I saw Bongbong yesterday in Tacloban. Sabi ko, it's your choice. Sabi niya na, same question like you. Can we now proceed? Oh, yes, you can.
The president adds, quote, I said before I will not take my word back.
As a lawyer, I stick by what the law says. The law says that soldiers and ex-presidents. Yung namatay, o baski hindi siguro ex, basta presidente ka, doon ka ilibing. Now the question of this tussle about the dictatorship of Marcos is something which cannot be determined at this time. It has to have history. Kasi yung nasaktan, and it was a contention really of a political fight, initially, then turned sour because of the power struggle of the ruling political families in this country. That part of the sins of Marcos has yet to be proven.
Marcos human rights victim, former party list representative Nery Colmenares, had earlier appealed to the president to just drop his order altogether. No date has been set for the burial. The Marcos family will shoulder burial costs that will exceed the government budget. President Rodrigo Duterte says there is nothing wrong with his comment on Vice President Leni Robredo's short skirt and knees during an event commemorating Super Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda. He says such comments are a natural part of being a politician.
Yes, it is necessary to make people laugh, for them to enjoy the occasion. You want to depict me as bastos? You can. Have your day.
Duterte says he wanted to diffuse the tension caused by his anger at the slow turnover of housing projects to Haiyan survivors. Duterte says there was nothing malicious about his remarks because he was merely commenting on how Robredo's smooth knees indicated she did not go to Mass.
Short skirt during your cabinet
Yeah, I said
meeting.
she was wearing a skirt. Pero tuhod was walang Sabi ko hindi nagsisimba ito. It is appropriate. As a matter of fact, it is good. So what's the problem there? What find an issue?
Robredo says she deliberately chose to ignore Duterte's remarks that she's a widow, that his marriage had been annulled, and that if rumors were true, she had a congressman boyfriend. That boyfriend would soon be dead. Robredo adds, many were bothered and offended by what they saw on TV and online. In a statement, Robredo says, quote, tasteless remarks and inappropriate advances against women should have no place in our society. Britain's Prince Harry confirms he is dating U.S. actress Meghan Markle. He also blasts the racist wave of abuse and harassment directed towards Markle since the relationship began. Markle's mother is African American, while her father is Caucasian. In a statement, Harry urges media to refrain from further damage. He also slams outright racism and sexism on social media directed against Markle. Markle is best known for her role as Rachel Zane in the US TV drama Suits. That's your 6 p.m. wrap. Watch our updates daily at 12 noon and 6 p.m. I'm Chai Hofilenya. Remember, tomorrow begins today.